Your brain would rather lie than admit it's blind. Anton syndrome. Imagine waking up tomorrow completely blind. But when doctors ask if you can see, you confidently reply, "Of course I can." You describe the room. You describe the people around you. You even try walking across the room. And then, you walk straight into a wall. Not because you're pretending, not because you're confused, but because your brain has secretly decided to create an entirely fake reality. This is one of the strangest neurological conditions ever discovered. And it raises a terrifying question. How much of what you see is actually real? Most people think blindness is simple. Your eyes stop working. You can't see. End of story. But vision doesn't actually happen in your eyes. Your eyes are just cameras. The real magic happens inside your brain. At the back of your head sits a region called the visual cortex. It's responsible for turning electrical signals into the world you experience. Without it, sight is impossible. And that's exactly where Anton syndrome begins. Usually after a stroke, head injury, or severe brain damage, the visual cortex is destroyed. The eyes may still function, the optic nerves may still work, but the brain can no longer process visual information. The person becomes completely blind, yet somehow, many of them refuse to believe it. Not because they're stubborn, not because they're lying, because their brain genuinely doesn't know. Now here's where things get truly disturbing. If someone loses their hearing, they know they're deaf. If someone loses feeling in their hand, they know it's numb. So why can a blind person look directly at a wall and insist they're seeing perfectly? The answer reveals something terrifying about the human mind. Doctors studying Anton syndrome noticed something bizarre. When patients were asked what they could see, they answered immediately, with confidence. One patient was shown a doctor standing in front of them. The patient described the doctor's clothing, except the description was completely wrong. Another patient claimed they could see people walking outside a window. The window faced a brick wall. Others described colors, furniture, animals, and objects that simply weren't there. Their brains were inventing details in real time. Neurologists believe this happens because the brain hates missing information. Your brain is constantly making predictions. Right now, it fills in blind spots in your vision without you noticing. It ignores tiny gaps. It edits reality. It simplifies what you see. Normally, this helps us understand the world. But in Anton syndrome, the brain receives absolutely no visual data. Instead of admitting failure, it starts guessing, and those guesses become reality. To the patient, the imaginary world feels just as real as actual sight. But Anton syndrome reveals something even more unsettling, because the condition suggests your brain might be doing this all the time, just on a much smaller scale. What if reality is already being edited before you ever experience it? Scientists now know that vision isn't like watching a live video feed. It's more like your brain building a simulation. Every second, your brain receives incomplete information. Then it fills in the gaps. That's why optical illusions work. That's why eyewitnesses often remember events incorrectly. That's why two people can witness the same event and recall completely different details. Your brain isn't a camera. It's a storyteller. And most of the time, that storyteller is surprisingly unreliable. Anton syndrome is simply what happens when the storyteller loses access to reality altogether. Instead of saying, "I don't know," the brain says, "I'll make something up." And because consciousness trusts the brain completely, the person believes every word. They don't know they're blind, because the part of the brain responsible for understanding the blindness is also damaged. It's like having a broken fuel gauge that always says your tank is full. You don't realize there's a problem until the car stops moving. So here's the question that keeps neuroscientists awake at night. If the brain can completely fabricate an entire visual world, how do you know it isn't editing parts of reality right now? Anton syndrome remains one of the most unsettling medical mysteries ever documented. Not because people become blind, but because they never realize it. Their brain chooses fiction over uncertainty. It would rather create a fake world than admit it's missing part of reality. And maybe that's the most disturbing lesson of all, because the world you experience isn't reality itself. It's reality, as interpreted by your brain. And sometimes, your brain is willing to lie, just to keep the story going.